Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna do a June wrap-up video where I basically talk about all the books I read in June. You know the drill. Let's just get right into it. I read 5 books in the month of June, and the first one was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I rated this book a 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. I'm probably gonna do a full review at some point later during this month. It's basically a retelling of the Iliad, but from Patroclus's point of view. It's fantastic. I think Madeline Miller has an amazing writing style. I have her book Circe, which is like a retelling of Circe's life story basically, and I'm really excited to read that. It's back at university, so whenever I get there I'm gonna get to it. Yeah, it was basically really fantastic. I absolutely loved the way that she characterized Patroclus and Achilles, and I love the romance. I love the writing style. I have nothing bad to say about this book. It made me cry like a baby. I love it so much. It was genuinely one of the best books I've read in my life probably. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days after I read it. I went around to every single person that I knew personally, and I was like, you need to read this book because it's so good. It was an experience, and I recommend it very, very highly. It was just really well written, and yeah, I have nothing bad to say about it. I'm gonna move on because otherwise I'll just go on way too long about this one book, and I do want to save something for the full review that I'm gonna do, which is probably just gonna be me ranting about how much I love this book for 20 minutes. The next one I read was The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. This is basically about this dude called Monty who is a nobleman's son, and he and his the guy he has a crush on basically, and his sister go on this tour in Europe in the 1800s or that kind of time period, and the 1900s, I don't know, something like that. And they have adventures and get into shenanigans. I really like this book. I rated 4 stars. I love Monty's character. He's peak dumbass bisexual representation, and I love it so much. Also, his sister Felicity is the only person that Monty knows who actually has a brain cell. I love her also. There's a sequel to this book which is about Felicity. I'm super excited to read that one too. I really enjoyed this book. It was also really cute with all of the romance stuff. This month was just it just gave me some good romances, and I love that. Now that I'm done talking about the books that I absolutely adored, I'm going to talk about some of the books that I did not like as much. The first one being If I Stay by Gail Forman. This was basically about this girl who I already forgot her name. She gets into a car crash, and the book kind of follows her is a ghost out of her body kind of, as she's in the hospital recovering from her car crash, and it alternates between the present timeline in which she's in the hospital after the crash, watching her self and the people around her from outside her body, and flashbacks. The main problem I had with this book was that I just didn't connect with any of the characters at all. It all felt a bit too structured. That's kind of a weird way to put it. I don't know what exactly I'm trying to say, but it felt like it was way too planned out, kind of no one really felt like a real person. They all felt like they were characters in a book, and that's why they were doing the things they were doing, and that's why they had those personality traits, oh, this is the protagonist character, so she has to be like this, a lot of other protagonist characters in YA. I don't really know if that makes sense, but that's what I'm gonna go with. It just felt a bit too not realistic. I don't know if that's what I'm trying to say, but that's how it felt. So that was my issue with that. I rated this book 2 stars. It was okay. I just didn't really like find myself connecting with any of the characters at all, and yeah, that's basically it. The next book that I read this month was Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. This book is basically like a fantasy but set in space, where there's this thing called a current, and people have like current gifts, which are like powers. I decided to read this back when I read like Divergent and stuff, which is like the popular series that Veronica Roth wrote, and I really liked those back then. I no longer really like them that much, but I decided to give it a shot since I'd already decided to read the book and it was on my TBR, and I need to cross stuff off my TBR, and my library had it. I didn't really like this book, mostly because I literally did not care about any of the characters and any of the plot points that like occurred. There was just like, there were points in the book where they would say like, one of the main characters, it switches point of views, her name is Syra, and they would say Syra, and I would like, I would be like, who's Syra? Like, where did she come from? And I'd be like, oh, that's the main character of the book. Like, that's how much I literally did not care about anything that was happening. I think looking back, it's kind of like the same kind of issues that the characterization in the Divergent series has, but just more pronounced, because I guess I'm like older reading it or something, and I didn't really notice it as much when I was reading Divergent because I was like 13 or something, and I didn't really care, but now I do, and it was just, I just felt like they were like, with If I Stay, they were like stock characters that were just kind of like picked up and like put into a story and then like tweaked to like fit into the story that the author wanted to tell. So yeah, I really did not like this book. I rated it 1 star. Not good. Did not like. The next and also last book that I read this month was They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This book is about basically like, it's like our society, except what happens is that before you die, like the night before you're about to die, you get like a call that's like a warning about how you're gonna die, and these 2 guys, Mateo and Rufus, get like the call that like, hey, you're gonna die. So they like, basically this book follows their like last day on Earth, which is why it's called They Both Die at the End, because they both die at the end. And I liked this book. What I thought was like kind of weird about it was I don't really feel like society had like changed a lot. Like, it felt basically like our world, but like also you get a phone call before you die. And there were like some other things, like there were like apps to like find people on to like, you know, talk to who are like also going to die and stuff. But I don't know, it didn't feel like it had really like impacted the world at all, like the fact that you could like know before you die. Like I don't know, I feel like that would change something. I didn't really find Mateo and Rufus like super interesting, but like they're gay, so I was like, it's fine. Honestly, I think it was like an interesting read, like it was entertaining, but as far as the actual like craft goes, it was not very good. I think it could have been improved somehow. I'm not an editor, don't look at me. But I just think there was something missing. And as to what that something was, well, who knows? Certainly not me. Okay, that's it. I'm done talking about all the books that I read this month, and bye.